Green is go, right? Okay. So I'm going to take a different approach on the panelist kind of view. Normally we go around, we do our 30-second introduction, we read, a good 10% of our resume each, and that eats up a lot of time. Instead, I'm going to introduce myself, and then let's meet our panel and chat with them, and just have a conversation about trusted AI, trusted data, what it means, because we heard a lot from the keynote, and those words were thrown around, and we're going to kind of explain what the ideal world is as far as from an integration perspective, that not is just integration to Salesforce, but an integration into any system of record and any back or any front-end consuming application as well. So first off, when enosix went down this path to think about a partnership with MuleSoft, we were being perceived as competitors in the marketplace from a Salesforce perspective because they do integration and we do integration. So if we really kind of start to peel the layers of the onion back, what we do is we provide a packaged integration directly to SAP that allows real-time connectivity to that system of record. What MuleSoft does is give you a complete, comprehensive platform to build any application and any integration that you want. Two way different things. Can you do things in MuleSoft that you can do in enosix? Sometimes. But there's value in the partnership, and we help extend the value of the Anypoint platform and can do some things together that no other integration platforms can do in the world. When we think about the Jitterbits, the Boomies, even SAP to SAP, the three of us can do it a lot better. With that being said, I'd like to have everybody close your eyes for a minute. I know it sounds corny. It worked in A Time to Kill with Matthew McConaughey, who also inspired me today. And I'm going to read a couple words. Responsible, mindful, proven, relevant, committed, accurate, and honest. In the AI event of the year, I really want you to focus in on those. And nothing is possible if your system is using batched data. You can open up your eyes, and I think we can look at the other differentiator is when we designed our connector for MuleSoft is not just a connector. They got plenty of those. They got over 400 of them on the platform. Ours is 50 pre-built APIs certified for SAP, every platform since 2013. And S/4HANA, who's still coming to town in about 2030. So when you think about that, we truly are extending the major platform benefit of MuleSoft, which is reuse. Do your integration now, innovate with your SAP system, and you won't have to do it when HANA comes to your house. We optimized the communication framework for SAP. We rewrote their own communication methodology so that we could communicate at scale in real time. That's the difference. That's what Boomi and that's what Jitterbit and that's what SAP can't do. And finally, we wrote a connector that made all that happen and solidified our partnership, and we walked hand in hand. Dejim was on my original skeptics workshop when we brought this idea up, and we collaborated, and it was brutal in the beginning as far as, hey, I'm thinking about this connector. Nope, won't work. Then all of a sudden we got to a point where we had a go-to-market strategy. We had the product built. We improved it 3 times. We've only been co-selling together for 109 days, and we already closed a deal. We got a pipeline of over $1.5 million. This will work, and it will work. And some of the other things that you'll hear about our company combining with MuleSoft is even going to even tighter couple our companies together and really put us in a great launch pad for success. So this is the start of something awesome. And if you hear SAP, please give one of us 3 a call, and we will line you up with the best sellers and the best strategists to make the best integration patterns part of your solutions. So let's chat a little bit. Here's where I'd like my panelists, who are trusted friends, they're former MuleSoft colleagues of mine that I worked with at past while I was at MuleSoft. Dejim, would you mind giving a couple words to introduce yourself?
Sure. So my name is Dejim Zhuang. I'm a senior manager for the platform SE team. Surprisingly, Dave and I never crossed paths while we were there. I think just maybe he was, managing different patch. But longtime Muley. I've been there for 9 years. I was probably employ 200. So pre-IPO, pre-acquisition. So I've seen the product grow and our library of connectors grow. But I manage a team of platform SEs out of here. Yeah, my background. And then from an industry standpoint, we used to support multiple industries: HLS, pharmaceuticals, financial services, manufacturing, oil and gas. So we've seen SAP in all those different industries. All right.
And I'm Pareej Pradhan. I've not been part of MuleSoft or Salesforce as long as Dejim has, but I've been part of Salesforce MuleSoft ecosystem since 2017, so 6+ years. Before that, I was at CA, and now I'm a senior manager. I lead a team of enterprise architects, and we engage in the pre-sale cycle. Industry-wise, I've been in the integration space for over 20 years now, and seen the evolution of the space itself. So it's really cool to see where we were 20 years ago to now, and the entire evolution. And being in industry, so I've had a chance to be in different industries, retail and consumer goods, regulated markets, as well as now healthcare, going into healthcare, and then medical devices. So, yeah.
Perfect. So now we get the Pat Sajak portion of the program where I get to fire questions at these guys.
Actually, quick question for the crowd. How many people are familiar with MuleSoft?
There you go.
All right. And then how many people use SAP? Okay. So mostly, okay. All right.
Good.
Go ahead. Yeah, just wanted to kind of get a sense.
Barometer, right?
Yeah.
Pareej, question number 1.
All right.
Define trusted data just so that we're clear on semantics.
Yeah.
As to what it means to architects versus the kickoff keynote. And then a second tail-on question is, what do you see the role of the trusted data when you consider an endpoint platform and the enosix extension of the endpoint platform? What trusted data and trusted AI? Those topics I'd like you to cover a little bit.
Yeah, no, for sure. Everybody's going to know something about trusted AI and trusted data by the end of Dreamforce here, as you all saw. Kind of looking at trusted data in the context of trusted AI, right? To me, trusted data is the source of all your insights that the trusted AI systems and all the applications are going to really depend on. And I don't have to say how important it is to really feed the right data into these AI systems and run LLMs on those to be able to really help serve the right contextual answers. So this trusted AI system needs or depends really on timely and high quality data. And so real-time data, being able to feed real-time data into these systems, especially when they're making instant decisions on topics like healthcare, patient safety, or supply chain, all that becomes really, really critical. Right? So it's essentially being able to ensure the data from the right systems are going into these AI applications, AI platforms in real time. And are you able to do that? Right? Like you mentioned earlier, getting that data into those systems in a batch way, well, as soon as you write it, it's stale. And so the answers it's giving you, decisions it's making, it's not going to be based on the up to the minute, if you will, data. Right? And when I look at what that means for manufacturers or even retail and consumer good customers, oftentimes that source system is SAP. Right? So it's important for them to be able to get data from SAP in real time into these applications. Right? And that's where I think enosix and MuleSoft can really partner together with what enosix has made available through the connector and MuleSoft's integration platform. You can really ensure that all this data, important data from SAP, can in real time get into these AI platforms, and hence you can make decisions on where's my order, right? Up to the minute, you can find out where order tracking and order processing and many more use cases gets a real answer, right? That.
Dejim, as far as from a manufacturing angle, how does MuleSoft and enosix help manufacturers develop trusted applications?
So I would say it's not just manufacturing, but I'm going to your answer, right?
Sure.
Having that data from SAP is important for different use cases, right? Supply chain optimization, predictive maintenance, analytics, right? But it's not just SAP data in a lot of these manufacturers, right? There's data coming from all different sources. I think we did a study on customers in terms of number of applications, and I think the average number was over 1,000. It was like 1,200 applications, right? So if you think about all these different systems and all this different data, pulling that data into kind of the flow or into MuleSoft alongside what enosix provides with their you guys' connector gives you that better view, and it's not just for the consumers, analytics, but all the different use cases from a manufacturing standpoint that MuleSoft provides with enosix. And then on top of all this, right, it's connectivity, moving this data from one system to another to a consumer. But what MuleSoft also provides is also the management, the API management, the governance of that data. You want to make sure that the data that's being leveraged, right, is protected. There's sensitive PII data. You can use MuleSoft to make sure that it hides or tokenizes that data, and whoever's using that data only sees the data that they need to see. Right?
Perfect. Any different comments looking at through a lens of retail consumer goods, healthcare, or medical devices? Anything different there to add?
No, I think he covered most of what I would say. It's the complete platform solution. It's like getting information from SAP is important, but the ecosystem is so huge that you need to get data in real time and then provide governance around that. It's easy to lose sight of the governance piece. And so
this might be a good time for us to talk about architecture, because now we're at I know it was one question away, but I thought that we'd get to governance. I thought we'd get secured by design, and I think it's a good time to look at that architecture if you want to walk our audience through what the solution looks like. And if you want to get up so you can see it better, that's fine too.
I could probably see it from here.
There
on the right, of course, is enosix, right? At the end of the day, it's actually sitting alongside SAP. It's embedded in there and allowing you to have access to that data around orders, around customers, around material master and all that. With the enosix connector, right, it takes away the need to kind of manage or proxy that data outside SAP, but allow you to deploy these connectors alongside the other MuleSoft connectors globally, right? With the MuleSoft platform, we are a hybrid deployment model. So you can deploy this next to SAP, or you can deploy this closer to your customers, but it's allowing you to pull this data from SAP and provide that data to customers closer to where they are, and then the external data, right? That's the piece that we're talking about here in terms of that trusted data. It's not just data from SAP, but it can be data from Salesforce, it can be data from ServiceNow, data in a legacy database, mainframe data, right? We have multiple connectors for that, but the idea of pulling that data together with what enosix provides, you guys provide through the connector, and then provide that out to the consumers. It could be generative AI, right? We've been talking about large language models. If you look at what generative AI today, like OpenAI today, their large language model only goes up to 2021. So there's 2 years of data that isn't there. By providing this data from these other sources alongside data from SAP with enosix, you're able to get a better view of the customer around the orders, around customer data. And then the consumers, those different industries, but again, the arrows are going back, right? It's not just data that's coming out of SAP, right? Being able to push data back in, that's what MuleSoft allows you to do is feed that data back to enosix and then push that back to SAP, all right? Anything else you want to add?
No,
architecture?
it's spot on there.
I want to add one thing.
Yeah?
No, Alex Trebek wants to talk. I think it's also important, there's an element of that enosix practices called virtualized data. Data that's passed to another consuming system that's not persisted. And that's frankly one of our secrets to what we do in SAP, because the SAP admins of the universe, their basis admins, don't want their data cached anywhere. They don't want it replicated. They don't want it pushed to Salesforce in most cases. So by virtualizing that data, those data elements fill in almost like cascading style sheets for web design. The data elements just pop in there. They're not persisted, so that means that they don't have to be governed, they don't have to be secured. They're secured by the two platforms of system and record. So they're either owned by the destination or the origination point. And because we don't move data, it just appears. Think of data flowing into a window inside SAP to then tell you where your order is. That's one important element that Now, we don't have to do that. Could we do that? Can we sync data? Absolutely. But frankly, it's going to be an architectural discussion between the three of us if MuleSoft wants to sync that data, or is it just an SAP to Salesforce sync that we've already pre-built and doesn't have to be designed or built or tested. But you can definitely do all of that within that architecture. And I think the idea of virtualization is really, really important. And that, frankly, allows us to win deals when the SAP people come in the room. And they will come in the room each and every time. And they will have the ability to kill your deal. They're probably not going to have the ability to buy it. But the idea that, no, you can't move my data out of SAP to a S3 bucket will kill your deal every time. So I think that was worthwhile to go into the architecture at that point. Thank you.
And there was one more other piece I forgot to talk about. So MuleSoft, I'm just talking about the connectors, but there's a lot more that comes with MuleSoft. API management's an important piece of this in terms of governance, rate limiting data usage, right? You want to make sure that your consumers aren't bringing down SAP with the number of calls they're making. You can actually apply governance policies to ensure that they stay within a reasonable range. Security is huge, right? This data is being accessed, right? You want to make sure that bad actors aren't leveraging this data that you're exposing through these APIs is being shared across, especially SAP data, right? So governance is one piece. Reusability is another piece in terms of taking your projects that you build out and publishing them into a centralized repository called Exchange. So APIs that you build out, templates, workflows, everything that you build within the platform exists within think of it like an Apple App Store of projects that you can leverage. And then support for different integration patterns, right? So we're talking about real time here, and not leveraging batch, but there are use cases where, like PubSub, right, vented data architecture, where MuleSoft provides those capabilities to allow you to drop this data from SAP and other systems onto a queue, and then have a consumer pick them up when they're ready to consume that data. So a lot of things that this partnership, right, that we provide that extends the benefits of enosix and SAP data into a broader ecosystem for any customer.
And what I would say there is just the standardization of integrations across the board for customers as well, right? They don't have to have different tools to support different use cases. So now they can actually use essentially a platform to manage these different use cases, including the SAP integrations. So it's easier for them to get up to speed on platforms as well.
Yeah.
We talked about it a little bit. I want to hit this point, though. When is batching into a system of record or out of a system of record from one into another? Let's ask that question. When is that not enough? There are integration patterns where it might be, real time or semi-real time is good enough.
Yeah, no.
When does it absolutely fail?
No, so it's funny. I actually was we took part in a workshop last week with a customer in Chicago. It was a manufacturing customer. I'm not going to share the name, but one of the things we started off the workshop with is, all right, they were SAP shop, and said, all right, what is the number one question that you get from your customers and consumers? And the lady there said, where's my order? That's where, that's where everything starts for them. Where's my order? Being able to provide that information in real time. And you can take that across other industries where you're making real-time decisions around, health and safety and all those. That's very critical, where batch data is not going to cut it if you're trying to make up-to-the-minute decisions, right? So again, it has so much impact across the board. Just where's my order is just a theme. You can now take that and look at how does that impact your supply chain optimization, your inventory management, right? Your order tracking, order processing. So eventually ends up impacting your customer experience overall.
Well, and we talked about in one industry it's where's my order.
Yeah.
In another one, like for cable television, where's the truck?
Where's the truck?
And another one, it's where's the part that goes in my car while I'm trying to get it serviced.
Exactly.
So it comes in different flavors, but it all goes down. And, that's why inside the Einstein one, the last segment, I was kind of snickering a little bit because I know why they can't put a tracking number on it. because you can't reach into the system of record and grab it from SAP where it lives.
Yeah.
And if you can't go back to it in real time, it's just batch data. You might be able to write an API, or I know you can write an API through MuleSoft that would go to the 3 providers of, next day delivery, call their API and figure out who's got the order.
Yeah.
You could go the back door, but somebody in your enterprise knows about it. But SAP's hard. There's one company that, if you know my LinkedIn posts, I sometimes get a little snippy. There's one integration platform, not MuleSoft, and they have their logo out there and they show all their connectors. Which connector do you think is not in their major front-facing logo? It's 3 little letters here, right? SAP. Why? Because that's hard. And we're the easy button. All we're doing on that slide is they have an API consuming request. I don't care where it goes. I go back into SAP. I've got all the transformation, translation, orchestration ready, and I'm not going to give them 4,000 documents that they got to strip it off. I just grab the one element, I give it to my friend Dejim right here, and he gives it over to Pareej, and it gets to where it needs to go. I'm doing the heavy lift. Their projects get done faster, more economical, less build, less risk, because no one likes to do the SAP work. It's the long tent pole. It's where all your project risk is. We just are the easy button. So now I'll get off my soapbox. Okay, fun question, because we asked the negative question as to why batching data is bad, bad, bad. What's an ideal use case for trusted AI and an app? And I have a feeling you might say something like, where's my order? But
I keep going back to that because it's funny because I get to cover both a lot of different industries right now, RCG with retail and consumer goods, as well as our manufacturing customers, and in different flavors, both in retail, even in fashion, right, to CPG companies, all the way to obviously manufacturing companies. Where's my order? Becomes the overarching question, right? That's are you able to answer that and think about the implications that may have for your if you're a manufacturer, you may have production planning based on the information, raw materials coming in. I don't have to go into the weeds here, but that being able to answer that is critical for your operations and customer experience. And so I'd say, where's my order is the top use case.
Yeah, customer experience, right? At the end of the day, it's not just where's my order, but providing an optimal customer experience based off of data that's relevant to them.
Yeah.
Right. Data from SAP, but then hey, there's other data like we were talking about with shipping information, right? That data is not going to be the status of shipping isn't going to be in SAP. It's going to be coming from FedEx, USPS, what's the third one? UPS.
Airborne, UPS.
Yeah.
I mean,
you name it, right? But it's that data that it helps that customer service agent answer the question quickly and correctly, so the customer's not like, oh, let me talk to someone else because they don't have the data we need. So yeah, with enosix and MuleSoft, bringing all that data together and providing that response to generative AI, or even just straight into Salesforce for that agent to have at the tip of their fingers is highly important to provide that optimal customer experience.
Dave, I actually have a question for you. I know you've been working with doing this for a while. Have you seen any benefits the customers getting using enosix and Mule?
It goes back to my days as a muley when we would work on big accounts and we'd get that 30, 40 core deal.
Yeah.
Our account team wasn't selling into that account for another year because there was the build process. I had to wait for them to build all those assets, whether it be through an SI partner or a local or their own team. So I think it goes back to a statement that I made when I was on my soapbox about the build. If I don't have to source SAP experts, and I don't have to find them, and I don't have to write custom BAPIs, and I don't have, or even if as a GSI like a Doyle, a Cap, or a Cogs, if I don't have to get my people across the aisle to do $500,000 worth of custom BAPI work inside SAP, and I can productize that and go faster to the market, it makes sense. I like the idea so our customers benefit from not having to find those experts. There's a lower cost of entry fee with MuleSoft and enosix, because frankly, a lot of our legacy patterns had the custom Lightning components as part of the solution. And with that, I don't need those. I just need to do the heavy lift in SAP, which I do every day for every one of our customers, 2.3 million transactions a day. And I just give it to MuleSoft, and I'm done at that point. So I think that there's value in doing it with Mule versus other lesser tiers. Now I do bleed blue. It's in my DNA, but it's the best integration pattern out there. We're talking traceability, upstream, downstream, governance, secured by design, all that. It's by far superior when it comes to API management. And that's when we think about the innovators in our country or in our landscape. It's the Ubers, who are the largest taxi company with no taxis. It's the number one API in the world is Google Maps. No one's ever going to draw a map again. They rewrote it the way, and it's because of an API. And so now managing an API network like MuleSoft does, that's where the benefit. And I'm looking at MuleSoft at their 7,100 customers, and I want a piece of that. But I also think that what we can do at enosix and what my customers enjoy, and what the MuleSoft is that easy lift out of SAP into MuleSoft. That's where I think the biggest benefit for our customers is.
Yeah, and I agree with you. When we engage with customers, SAP becomes the long pole in the tent. It's complex, it's expensive. So enosix kind of making it easier just to get the data out helps in terms of getting the real-time data into different systems.
I'll help you every step of the way, my friend. Is there any questions that you'd like to ask any of our panelists? I mean, there's some pretty smart dudes up here. You guys got it all figured out? Come on. Give me something.
SAP's got a ton of customizations in every
Sure.
customer I've ever seen.
Yep.
How does the fact that you've got pre-built things work with all the customizations that exist?
It's a good question. The first way to answer the question is they're adding custom tables and custom fields for the most part. There's some custom policies, but the overall data construct and where the data lives is fairly standardized. One of the hardest parts about SAP is that, similar to like if we were to look at a regular database, they're usually U.S. English words that have been cut open. And what I mean is customer ID number. Nobody calls a customer ID number header, right? On a row in a database. It's CUST _ ID _ NO, okay? Or NUM or something like that. In German, it's 4 words that we pick the first letter of each word, and it spells Kunr. K-U-N-R, okay? Imagine that to the nth level, and now try to be a MuleSoft programmer writing an API call against a BAPI inside. And that's only if you can find one of the 30,000 BAPIs, and if you better get it right. Or you better build your own, because I don't have time to analyze the construct to get to the right Kunr. So, and then, for us to get an order status, frankly, our core product, it's 30 tables and 86 discrete fields we need to pull together, throw out the garbage, and then give them a clean result, or give our thing a clean result. So by not using the JCOD connector, by not using the network gateway, by not using an IDOC, we don't have to give them the whole resume. We can just tell them your name, address, phone number, which is what you asked for as an API consumer. But every one of our implementations has customizations. It's going to get better because everybody's got this magic line in the sand with that gal Hannah who's coming to the town. And they also don't have 13 years of sins in ECC to take care of.
Yeah.
So we're at the hardest tipping point that we're going to be at with ECC evolution. But we have 600 custom objects that get installed, and we add to it each and every time. So 600 custom objects written the way that we want to, and fully translated for the way that we're going to call them. And we call them the same way in HANA versus ECC. So anything that we do in MuleSoft is 100% portable to HANA with 0 rework. We estimate, I'm doing this analysis with Slalom, and I'll probably have it published in October. It's a reverse engineering of a project with SAP that they didn't use us. And we're just starting that relationship, because if we can bring their overall cost of developing the system layer APIs and the 3-tier methodology of MuleSoft's application network, if we can take out 20 APIs and take out 65% of the cost, they can do more value-added work for other customers. And there's value there. So those are the types of things that get into, and our people, I'm sorry, the enosix professional services team takes care of all of the SAP heavy lift. We do a complete separate SOW. We install the same product, but that's when we do the analysis and we do the litmus test of the requirements gathering as to which objects need to be considered for each one. What are you trying to get out of your overall integration strategy? And then that's a separate statement of work. But once it's developed, it's fully portable to HANA. And we have customers going through that right now across any vertical in Salesforce in mixed multiple organizations with SAP. So it's not as clean as we'd want it to be, but it's never going to be clean. And this idea of a clean core in BTP, we should probably take offline. But that's going against the core competency of what SAP is. They want it to be one box, and now they want a clean core, but they want to use BTP to call out these external services. And that means you'll never get away from BTP, which is not really that great of an architecture in the first place. Mule's a way better mousetrap for that. So a couple opinions there, but I think that you're welcome. So that's about the end of our time. I got to get these guys back to a meeting. It starts at 1 at the tower due to our late start, but I can't. I appreciate all of you so much for attending. I hope you learned something and use that. And if you hear, oh, we didn't even work our magic word, variant configuration.
I know.
There you go.
I
I
was
was
like,
waiting.
Anybody know what that is? That is awful. Okay, so variant configuration is the reason why you run around your house, you're replacing windows. You're measuring off every window. You make a list of 13 windows that you need for your little bungalow ranch. You put it into HomeDepot.com, and your wife's like, how much is that going to cost? You hit calculate, and it says, please call a representative. It's because that interface doesn't know. Because in order to get a price, it needs to do a build simulate inside SAP, as if you're buying the raw goods to build the window, and then it does standard upcharge models, and that's how you get a final price. That's variant configuration. It's in every pharmaceutical company has it. Most retailers, most manufacturers of complex configurable products. Your alternative, if you look on LinkedIn, search this job description for people. They'll be at these companies like Rockwell Automation out in Milwaukee. There's a guy there 28 years. He's been doing variant configuration. Like his Monday must be awful. So what I would say is that is the alternative is like, hey, Hal, we just updated 28,000 records. Hal's got to double check to see if anything broke on the e-commerce site. And it probably did, but it won't break until somebody hits that magic row of a 1/64th difference between the previous configuration and so on and so forth, and they just explode out every price, and then they cash it into Salesforce or a commerce solution. So variant configuration with enosix and MuleSoft, and this is really powerful for MuleSoft because they're a good partner of ours. They just call me and say, how much does that cost? I leave that logic alone. I don't try to replicate that business logic, and God knows I don't try to run every variation and try to dump it into an S3 bucket. I just say, hey, SP, how many of these 13 windows cost? They're like $11,904. I'm like, hey, it's $11,904. And they put it in a field, and we move on with life. But you can't do. The bulk of our customers, probably 60, 70%, bought us because of variant configuration. You can't do it with anybody else. Yeah. And now, if you have an iPass and it isn't Mule, you can't do it either. It's the MuleSoft enosix power that really brings that thing home. So I'll leave you with those thoughts. But variant configuration, you should be calling me right away. And I should say, let's work on your close plan because we're going to win a deal. Final thoughts? Anybody? I tried to thank you for your time once before. I'll do it again. Thanks for sitting in. I told you we'd have a little fun, but I hope you did too. Take care.